Online grocery, it's absolutely booming, right? But here's the dirty little secret for most retailers. It's a profit killer. Seriously. Every time an employee picks an order for curbside pickup, it eats away at your margins, often pushing that sale right into the red. So, we're going to break down a radical new model that's designed to flip that whole equation on its head. So let's get real about the numbers for a second. Research shows that a typical $100 grocery basket, which usually gives you about a $4.40 profit when the customer shops for themselves, well, that flips to a net loss when your team has to do the picking. You just can't build the future of your business on a model like that. It's simply not sustainable. Okay, now stick with me here, because this might sound a little wild at first. But what if the very people already walking up and down your aisles could become part of the solution? What if your biggest cost center in fulfillment, that in-store picking, could actually become a super efficient collaborative process? The big idea here is a new kind of hybrid system. It's this powerful team-up between technology and people. We're talking about autonomous mobile robots. You'll hear them called AMRs, working hand in hand with your most valuable and, up until now, completely untapped resource, your own customers, volunteering to help. So what does this actually look like on the store floor? Well, you can see in this layout, the entire store is mapped out with these specific stopping points. The AMRs drive themselves to these spots. They park right in front of the shelf where an item is needed for an online order, and then they just wait for a helping hand. And this little guy is the star of the show. This is an AMR. It's a type of collaborative robot, or cobot, and it's built from the ground up to work safely right next to people. You can see it's got totes for sorting different orders and a really clear screen that tells you exactly what it needs. The whole interaction is designed to be super simple. And the process itself, it's brilliantly simple. First, the robot gets to its spot, and the screen just shows the item it needs. Second, a shopper who's nearby and wants to help out just grabs it off the shelf. And third, they scan the item, pop it in the tote, and boom, they get an instant reward, like a store credit. We're talking about a 10-second task for a real, immediate benefit. Now, if you're a retail operator, I know what you're thinking. The big challenge here is uncertainty, right? You have no idea when or even if a customer is going to help a robot that's just waiting there. So how in the world do you manage that kind of chaos and still get orders out on time? Well, you need a really, really smart decision brain running the whole show. And that brain is what the researchers call a heuristic framework. But let's break that down. Just think of it like Waze or Google Maps for your store. It doesn't just set one plan in the morning and hope for the best. Nope. It creates a smart starting plan, and then it adapts second by second based on what's actually happening in your aisles. And this visual shows you exactly how it works. Now, it might look a little technical, but the idea is super simple. On the left, you see the initial game plan, the system's best guess for how to get all the items picked. But the real magic, the secret sauce, is on the right. As robots get help from customers, or maybe have to wait a little longer, the system is instantly recalculating everything, reassigning tasks on the fly to keep the whole operation running as smoothly as possible. So it's a really cool concept, for sure, but is it just a clever theory, or does it actually work in practice? Okay, let's get to the numbers. The study ran a whole bunch of experiments to see if this model really delivers. Because at the end of the day, the numbers have to make sense. So, here's the first big question. How much does that fancy, adaptive decision brain really matter? What's the bottom line difference between a plan that's set in stone versus one that's constantly learning and adjusting in real time? Well, the data is crystal clear. You can see it right here in this chart. The dynamic policies, the ones that adapt on the fly, they beat the static, pre-planned ones every single time. The study found that just by making these decisions dynamically, you increase the number of items picked per hour by an average of 5.1%. That's a solid efficiency gain just from having smarter software. But here's where it gets really interesting. What happens when you compare this collaborative customer model to a more traditional setup where you just have a paid employee helping the robots? The results are, well, they're kind of astounding. Leveraging your in-store customers improves the overall picking performance by over 24%. Let me just say that again. 24%. That's a game-changing number. So who's doing all the work? This chart breaks it down. In a typical setup with 3 AMRs and just one dedicated human picker, the AMRs, powered by your customers, are handling the lion's share of the work, picking roughly 60% of all the items. This frees up your paid staff to focus on higher-value tasks like customer service, instead of just running up and down the aisles all day. Okay, so let's boil all this down.
If you're a leader in retail trying to figure out how to win this whole omni-channel game, what are the key things you really need to take away from all this?
Here are the 4 points that really matter. 1. Dynamic software is just plain better. It's over 5% more efficient. 2, and this is the huge one, using your customers is a massive 24% more productive than just using dedicated staff. 3, the workload gets balanced, with robots and customers doing the heavy lifting. And finally, the strategy you use in real time matters. A smarter, more flexible approach gets you the best results.
And of course, it all comes back to the bottom line. As the study itself says, this model directly attacks the marginal cost of fulfilling an order. And why is that? It's because you're tapping into the time and the movement your customers have already committed to by just being in your store. They are already at the shelf. You're not asking them to go out of their way. So I'll leave you with this final thought. We're all taught to see our customers as the end of the line, the final destination for our products. But what if they could be an active, powerful, and incredibly cost-effective part of the logistics chain itself? This whole model suggests they are your most valuable and right now completely untapped asset.